And for the listeners to make some progress today towards releasing their subconscious resistance, what would be an action step that they could take? Simply tap along with what we've done before?
Yeah, go back and listen to this again. Tap along. You might want to make a list of, if I knew why I wouldn't want to let this go, what would be the downside of letting go of my social anxiety, of letting go of my fear? What would the downside of that be? You could make a list. Here's an example that's easier for people to understand. If when you take it out of something personal, like they're dealing with like social anxiety, and you put it into something else, it sometimes is easier to understand. So let's take a weight issue. So somebody says, I want to lose 50 pounds, but they're not able to do it. And they go on diets and they exercise and they do what they think they're supposed to. Well, their subconscious is going, I don't want to lose weight because then guys are going to come onto me and I'll be molested again, or they're going to pick on me. My chubby friends won't like me anymore. I won't be able to wear the same clothes. I'll have to get a whole new wardrobe. I won't feel safe. And it's the same sort of thing. What would be the downside of you being socially comfortable and confident in a situation? Or what would be the downside of you getting rid of your fear and anxiety? And write those things down. That way you're kind of bringing it to your conscious mind why your subconscious thinks it needs to hold on to it. You can then address those things as you tap on neutralizing that subconscious resistance.
Absolutely. And as you ask yourself that question, probably the first 3 seconds, your answer will be, oh, there's nothing. But think deeper, think longer, think more, stare at the piece of paper if you need to. You're going to come up with answers.
Yeah.
So. You
can even say, well, what would somebody else tell me? What would you tell somebody that wanted to let go of fear that it might be in their way? All right, so we're going to just do a demonstration.
And maybe give a super basic explanation of what it is.
Okay. All right, so we're just going to tap on some energy points on the body. And the first one's going to be on the side of the hand, on the fleshy side of your hand underneath your little finger. Not on the palm of your hand and not on the back, the fleshy side of the hand at the base of the little finger.
Karate chop point.
It's we call that the karate chop point. So bump that against the same, so you have your hand flat like you're going to do a karate chop and your other hand flat. And then bump those two hands together at that place just right under the little finger, that fleshy side of the hand.
So the karate chops are chopping each other.
Yeah. And you tap there and you make a simple statement about how this problem is affecting your life. Will you repeat after me? Be my echo, sure. Sebastian.
Yeah,
even though this fear and anxiety. About social situations. Keeps me stunted in my relationships. And causes more anxiety. Yet there's a part of me that doesn't want to let it go. For whatever reason. And I want to love and accept myself anyway. Okay, still staying on that place. So I just say again, even though my social anxiety and fear affects my life in many negative ways, there's a part of me that doesn't want to let go of it. Maybe it's not safe to let go of my fear. Maybe it's not acceptable to be socially comfortable. But for whatever reason, right or wrong, there's a part of me that wants to hold on to my fear and anxiety. And I want to accept who I am anyway. And then you take a deep breath and you shake out your hands like you're shaking water off your fingertips. So just to be clear, you're tapping on that point the whole time you're making those statements. And you're basically saying to the subconscious, I understand that you don't want to let this go. Do you understand that it's affecting me in a really negative way? It's making my life a lot harder to hold on to this social anxiety. And yet there's a part of me that doesn't want to let it go. And that's you, subconscious. And I want to let it go, but you don't too. But I love you anyway. In fact, go back to the karate chop, and I want you to say, thank you, subconscious.
Thank you, subconscious.
For trying to keep me safe.
For trying to keep me safe.
By creating this fear.
By creating this fear.
That keeps me out of social situations.
That keeps me out of social situations.
I know you're trying to do your job.
I know you're trying to do your job.
But it's causing me a lot of grief and hassle in my life.
But it's causing me a lot of grief and hassle in my life.
And I love you anyway.
And I love you anyway.
Okay. So now that's just the start of it. That's just kind of a sort of like saying to a 3-year-old kid, look, you're being a little brat, but I know you don't know any better. But I love you anyway. Now go sit in the corner and go text your little friends or something while I conduct the rest of my life. And so you're just kind of telling you're appreciating it, saying, thank you for sharing, but this isn't working. Just sit over there for a minute. And then you do some more tapping around your social anxiety. For instance, you would go back to the times that were troubling that you can remember or can't remember, and neutralize any traumas around social situations. And you can put them all together, as Sebastiaan will do. He's your coach to help you get rid of all of those, neutralize them, so there's no sting. When you think about the first time that you were rejected or felt like a fool in front of people, or meeting somebody and said something stupid, you want to get that to the point where you can remember it, but there's absolutely no charge whatsoever. And when that's neutralized, it really makes it easy to let go of the anxiety.
Because what we just did, even though it's a silly little exercise, as we acknowledge the subconscious and we verbalize the possible reasons for why it doesn't want to let go of the social anxiety, that in and of itself releases the resistance. Maybe temporarily, and maybe you need to do it a couple of times again, but that simple exercise, and you can go back and listen to it again, and that is what gets rid of the resistance. And Lindsay, that's just what opens the door to doing the other work, right?
Right. That doesn't fix the problem. That doesn't fix the social anxiety problem. It fixes the obstruction to fixing the problem. So when you go to a therapist and they say, oh, let's just make you gut through this and desensitize you in some way, and let's do it in little steps, or trick your mind into thinking something else, you're not fixing the problem. You're just pushing through it. It's sort of like if you went to a doctor and I said, oh, look, I broke my finger. And the doctor says, well, let's see, we can shoot some painkiller in there and kill the pain, or put a Band-Aid on it, or strip on it. And you go, but, my bone is sticking out. Okay, well, we'll just put some extra anesthetic on it then. You need to reset the bone. You need to fix the problem. Yeah, right. Yeah, don't look at it. So you want to fix the problem. You want to find out where the pain is coming from, the cause of it, and fix that. Because the things that we make up in our mind about what's going to happen if we go out in the world and what will they think of me is far worse than what really happens.